On today's video, I'll be making some budget-friendly wooden Christmas decor that capture the spirit of the season. It's the reason that makes this time of year truly special. So let's get started. For the first project, I will be using this 11 by 5.5 inch MDF wood plank from Dollar Tree. I also trimmed a 2 by 12 inch wood plank from Dollar Tree so that I have two at 5.5 inches. I'll be staining the wood with this water-based stain in the shade Special Walnut. So I'm just using a piece of cloth to apply the stain all over the wood. I do avoid staining on the shorter sides because I'll be applying glue on that area. So once that's applied all over, I wipe out the excess and then I apply the stain on the 5.5 inch wood. I got this 9-piece Christmas stencil pack on Amazon. They came with 9 reusable stencils, and I'll be using one that says Christmas Blessing. I'll be using this crimson and white chalk paint. So I place the stencil on top of the wood, positioning it where I want it to go. It's a large stencil, but it just about fits perfectly, and I secure it in place with some painter's tape. I'm going to paint the word Christmas in crimson, and I make sure to stir the paint completely first. I dip my stencil brush in the paint and then I dab out the excess paint. You really don't want your brush to be soaking with paint. And then I go over the stencil in small circular motions. I take my time with this. It's best to apply in thin layers just to avoid paint from seeping underneath the stencil. So I just continue to apply the paint, making sure to dab out the excess paint before stenciling. I make sure not to go over the word Christmas. You can also just cover that up with some painter's tape. Once that's done, I remove the stencil and that just went on perfectly. Now I really love how the red paint turned out. It just complemented the wood and the white beautifully, and so I decided to paint the wood blocks red instead of that wood stain, so I just painted right over that. Next I apply some glue on the shorter sides of the wood boards and I glue a block on each side. And I'm just using Titebond Quick and Thick multi-surface glue. This glue works perfectly on wood. Before I move on, I'm going to seal the tray that I'm making. I'm using a spray sealer, but you can definitely use your sealer of choice. I'm going to make some handles using this nautical rope from Dollar Tree. So I cut out the size of the handle that I want, and I'm going to cut out 2 that are equal in size. I also wrap the ends just to make it look neat with some smaller jute string, about 1 inch in length, and I use hot glue to secure it in place. I run it through a candle lighter to remove the loose fibers and to also seal the ends, and that really made a difference. Then I attach the candles with some hot glue, 1 on each end, making sure they both go on evenly. And this adorable Christmas tray is done. For this DIY, I'll be using 4 or so of these wood planks from Dollar Tree. These are quite long, they're about 2 by 18 inches. I remove all those sticker barcodes. I always like to take those out, even if that side isn't going to be seen. I got 5 planks, but in the end for this project, I only ended up using 4. I'll be staining with that same Special Walnut water-based stain, so I just wipe on the color with a cloth. Now I'm going to be gluing the wood together side by side, so I avoid applying the stain in the areas I'll be gluing. I also make sure to pick the side of the wood that look best. Some sides look better than others, and if there were any sticky residue, I just made sure to sand it out. This video is part of the Oh Come Let Us Adore Him challenge, where we craft DIYs inspired by the birth of Christ. This challenge is hosted by my dear friend Fabi from Arrows DIY. I'll have the playlist link below, so make sure to check out what all the other talented crafters have made. Arrange the wood so that they lay nicely side by side. Some of the sides were not completely straight, so I just arranged it as best as I can because I'll be stenciling on top of it. And then I continue staining the sides that will be seen. Before I glue them together, I flip over the wood so that the top surface will be nice and flat. And then I applied the glue on the sides of each wood and I attached them together so that they form one rectangle piece. And for more security, I glue a couple paint sticks on the back, and this will also help flatten out the wood if there were any areas that were a bit warped. So now this board is ready to be stenciled on. Now the stencil pack has numerous nativity scenes. I love the variations with different wordings, and I'll be using the one that says, "Oh, come let us adore him." I'll have the link to the stencil pack below if you want to check that out. I'll be using this white chalk paint from Folk Art. I secure the stencil with some painter's tape, and then I dip my brush in the paint and I make sure to dab out the excess paint. And then I just apply the paint over the stencil in circular motions, taking my time with it, applying in layers until I get the full coverage that I want. Then I remove the stencil and wow, it's really beautiful. I do make sure to seal it with a spray sealer. Now you can leave it as is, but I thought I would add a couple wood pieces on the sides going vertically. I was going to use another plank, but it was too wide, so I decided to go with paint sticks. I thought I would stain them with the same color, but then I wanted a little contrast, so I decided to dry brush some white paint, let it dry, and then sand it a bit with a coarse grit sanding sheet, and it gave it a beautiful distressed look. I'm not going to be hanging this, I'm going to lean it against the wall. But to hang, you can use some jute rope or this jute wire. Before gluing the wood pieces, I wanted to see what it looked like, and I wasn't really sure if I liked it with or without the paint sticks, so you will have to let me know in the end which one looked better. But either way, this nativity sign is beautiful. For the final DIY, I'll be using this wood board from Hobby Lobby. It was 50% off and it ended up being under $2. It has a really nice feel and finish to it, which was awesome because it meant I didn't have to do anything to it. It was ready for crafting. I'll be using this beautiful nativity stencil and I thought it was perfect for the board. For paint, I'll be using this rich black chalk paint from Folk Art. So I place the stencil on top and I secure it with some painter's tape. So I apply the chalk paint, dabbing out the excess paint on the brush, then stenciling in circular motions. Now there were some indentations or grooves in the wood, and so I just pounced the brush over those areas until it was covered. Once I was done, I removed the stencil. The silhouette is so beautiful. Now I do love it just like that, but you can also add some embellishments on top, like some greenery and pine cones. I decided to change out the jute hanger for some ribbon as well. And this beautiful DIY is done. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, will you please give it a thumbs up? Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to click that notification bell so that you don't miss any of my new videos. Also, don't forget to check out the playlist link below. Until next time, bye!